Welcome to the Tower Update. Today I want to talk about one of the things at the chapel. There's probably a dozen different things I could talk about when standing inside the chapel. This place is so full of symbolism. But the one I want to talk about today is the idea of baseball, ironically. One of the things symbolized in the outlay for the foundation of the chapel is this diamond shape that begins at the very back on a landing of the ruins of an old house corner and faces the chapel door that you're looking at right now. And then just like the bases in a baseball diamond, you have a plate on first, second behind the bell, third, and home plate again. As it was once said by a famous baseball enthusiast, the object of baseball is to get home. And that symbolism for us on the property shows up all over the place in the sense that Wizard Academy, while a place of exploration, is also a place that feels like home to the people who've fallen in love. Now, let's walk the bases for the first time. So we begin on first base, which is on the corner, and actually below this, there's the opening for a water fountain that we currently have turned off because we've been in drought conditions in Texas for like 7 years now. But on first base, you're going to find John 19. But one of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and immediately blood and water came out. And he who has seen has testified, and his testimony is true, and he knows that he is telling the truth, so that you may believe. Now we get to second base, extending the adventure out onto the cliff point over the valley, overlooking Engelbrecht House. And we reach Joe Darien's quote, taken from the Man of La Mancha. One man scorned and covered with scars still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable stars, and the world was better for this. As we reach third base and we're returning home, finally we see the point of all this adventuring and why we're at a wedding chapel. This is from the original Don Quixote text in 1605. Her name is Dulcinea, her kingdom Toboso, which is in La Mancha. Her condition must be that of princess at the very least, for she is my queen and lady. And her beauty is supernatural, for in it one finds the reality of all the impossible. And finally we return home, or as T.S. Eliot says, we shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all of our exploring will be to arrive where we started and to know the place for the first time. A lot of things are said about coming home, and two of my favorite are George Moore and G.K. Chesterton. George Moore, who said, "A man travels the world in search of what he needs and then returns home to find it," and G.K. Chesterton, who said there are two ways of getting home, and one of them is to stay there, and the other one is to go around the world until you come back to where you began. To me, that's a perfect symbol inside of a wedding chapel as well, because what better way to exemplify marriage in that strange sense of launching into the complete unknown on a grand adventure while simultaneously having the feeling of coming home. Until tomorrow, may your crazy stay this side of legal, and may you return before we have time to miss you.